This is TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I am Adesuwa Osuyi, and this is Africa Now. The Supreme Court of Ghana on Thursday upheld the electoral victory of President Nana Addo Dankwa AKUFO-ADDO in 2020 December's presidential polls. The court, in a unanimous decision, said the petition brought before it by the candidate of the National Democratic Congress in December 7, 2020 election, John Dramani Mahama, to annul the results of the contest, have a rerun of the election, was without merit, said Chief Justice Kwasi Anin-Yeboah, who led a 7-member panel hearing the petition. According to the court, the petitioner in the 2020 election petition failed to prove beyond doubt that he merited the reliefs that he sought from the court and unanimously dismissed the petition. It said Mahama failed to substantiate his claim that errors made by the Electoral Commission in the declaration of the presidential election result affected the outcome of the results of the election. Back at the Jubilee House, President AKUFO-ADDO sat behind his office desk and watched the live telecast of the proceeding at the Supreme Court. Just when the court passed its verdict, Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, who was also in the president's office watching the proceedings at the court, gave the president a hearty cheer and congratulated him. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, on Thursday called for an objective and independent investigation in the Ethiopian region of Tigray after having corroborated serious violations likely to constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity. In a statement issued in Geneva, Bachelet said her office has managed to corroborate information on some incidents that occurred in November last year, indicating indiscriminate bombings in the towns of Mekele, Homera, and Adigrat in the Tigray region in the north of the country. The scene of several months of fighting, the statement added that serious violation of international law, which may amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity, may have been committed. With multiple actors in the conflict, general denials, there is a clear need for an objective and independent assessment, said Bachelet. Human Rights Watch has also added its voice to calls for an urgent United Nations-backed inquiry into alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Ethiopian region of Tigray. The lobby group accuses Ethiopian and Eritrean forces of indiscriminately shelling the city of Aksum in November. Recent developments have it that UN Security Council have failed to agree on a joint statement on the crisis in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region after Russia, China, and India considered it was an internal matter. Algeria is preparing a law which will strip the nationality of its citizens who join, finance, or glorify a terrorist organization abroad. The Justice Minister outlined the proposed changes during a cabinet meeting, reports the state-run news agency, APS. The Prime Minister's office says that the new law would remain compatible with international conventions and guarantee the right to appeal. The reason for the amendment has, however, not been given by the authorities. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You're watching Africa Now. More stories from the African continent after the break. Welcome back. The Senegalese authorities have suspended the signal of 2 private television stations after accusing them of focusing too much on protests triggered by the arrest of an opposition leader, Ousmane Sonko. The 2 stations affected by the decision by the National Audiovisual Regulatory Council are Sen TV and Wolf TV channels. The channels were accused of broadcasting images of the unrest in loop after Sonko's arrest. Sonko has been accused of raping a woman at a salon where he went to get massages, which he denies. He has described the case as politically motivated and an attempt by President Macky Sall's allies to ensure he can't run in the next elections. Last week, Senegal's parliament voted to strip Sonko's immunity so the rape trial could proceed. Earlier, police clashed with supporters of Sonko in Bignona town in the southern Casamance region on Thursday. The government confirmed that 1 person was killed in the violence on Thursday, which allowed Sonko's arrest in Dakar a day earlier. The International Organization for Migration on Thursday said it had returned 145 illegal migrants from Libya to their country, Mali, due to insecurity and chaos in the North African nation following the overthrow of its leader, Muammar Gaddafi, in 2011. Thousands of illegal migrants, mostly Africans, chose to cross the Mediterranean from Libya towards Europe. Amid COVID-19, stranded migrants in Libya continue to register for IOM's voluntary humanitarian rerun program. This week, 72 women and 73 men from Mali returned home through a VHR charter flight from Tripoli. Supported by an IOM medical escort, there were 9 migrants with medical conditions on board. All migrants were tested for COVID-19 before departure. This flight was made possible with the support of a European Union Trust Fund, it said. The UN agency said in a statement. South African Health Products Regulatory Authority said on Thursday that it was an advanced stage of reviewing an emergency use application for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccines. Pfizer has engaged with SAHPRA via 2 regulatory pathways, that is registration for full commercial market access and Section 21 authorization. This Section 21 application is in advanced stages of review, Uven Gonden, spokesperson for the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, said. A Section 21 application, normally valid for 6 months, is an instrument for emergency use access of a health product that is unregistered. AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine was granted Section 21 approval by SAHPRA in January. Godin added that SAHPRA had received an application for both full market access and Section 21 approval for Russia's Sputnik V vaccine developed by the Gamaleya Institute. J&J's application for full market access is currently under a rolling review by the regulator, another mechanism to fast-track approval of COVID-19 vaccines where SAHPRA studies data as they become available. Rwandan YouTuber Yvonne Indamange has been arraigned in court in the capital, Kigali, on 6 charges, including insurrection and incitement to public disorder. She is accused of spreading rumor using technology, contempt for genocide memorials, obstruction of the implementation of government policies, and using counterfeit bank checks, among other charges. She denies all charges. The YouTuber rose to prominence with videos critical of President Paul Kagame and the Rwandan government. In one video on her YouTube channel, she criticized the government for displaying the bones of genocide victims in memorials. She said the remains should instead be buried with dignity. She was arrested on 15 February, and Thursday's appearance was the first time she has been seen in court. The opposition party criticized her arrest and an attempt to stifle free speech. This is your digital first from African Network, TOS TV. You're still watching Africa Now. Coming up, Africa's Center for Disease Control announcement. Thank you for staying tuned. The African Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Thursday announced a 6 million initiative funded by the European and Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership to train 150 highly skilled epidemiologists and biostatisticians. The new training program will be offered in sub-Saharan Africa over a period of 3 years, the African CDC said in a statement. The training is expected to start by October 2021 and end by 2024 and will be led by 10 consortiums comprising institutions from Africa and Europe. The initiative is meant to boost the capacity of national public health institutes, Ministry of Health, and other health institutions in Africa to collectively conduct public health research and effectively respond to disease emergencies across the continent. Meanwhile, in an update on Thursday, the Africa CDC said that nearly 4 million cases of the novel coronavirus have so far been recorded in the continent since February last year. At least 104,672 people have died in the continent due to complications related to the virus, while over 3.5 million patients have recovered. Libya's Prime Minister-Designate has submitted his proposal for ministerial portfolios for approval. His office said a key step towards unifying the country that descended into chaos after long-term leader Muammar Gaddafi was removed in 2011. If approved, a new cabinet will replace a Tripoli-based government of national accord set up in 2016 and headed by Fayez al-Sarraj, and a parallel administration in eastern Libya backed by military strongman Khalifa Haftar. Names in Beba's proposed government were not made public, but the House of Representatives is slated to vote on the list on Monday in Sirte, located roughly halfway between the two rival administrations. Under the UN plan, the Prime Minister has until March 19 to win approval for a cabinet before tackling the giant task of unifying Libya's proliferating institutions and leading the transition up to December 24 polls. And in business, former Director of National Treasury, Michael Sachs, has warned that South Africa will still have high debt servicing costs beyond 2023. He was speaking at a business webinar hosted by Deloitte Africa earlier on Thursday. In his budget speech last month, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni projected that debt servicing costs for the country will come down over the medium term. However, Sachs says this is unlikely. He argues that despite serious fiscal consolidation efforts over the next 3 years, South Africa will still be left with 6% of the gross domestic product going towards debt servicing cost after 2023. Sachs says South Africa is paying very high interest rates on their debt compared to other emerging economies. He recommends that the government will need to improve the country's budget balance, pay by 4% point of GDP if it is to stabilize the debt. And that is Africa Now on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS TV. For more updates, follow and like TOS TV across all social media networks. Do also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. I'm Adesiwa Osuyi. Good afternoon.